All right, now week one is in the can. Pittsburgh come out on the other side of it 1-0, and we're going to take a look at the game and a few other things surrounding the team this week. So, how'd you feel about the game, Nick?
Want to know, right? That's
Yeah.
what matters. It was a good win. It was an ugly win. A lot of things to clean up.
Mhm.
A lot of things to clean up. But Rodgers looked good.
Yeah. Like you said, a lot of things to clean up. Highlights. Highlights for me, one that comes to mind is Calvin Austin picking up where he left off last year. He seems to be a target for Rodgers. He's had a little bit of a rapport going on there. DK got open, made some things happen. Receivers looking good. Jalen Ramsey laid a hit at the end of the game that said, "I am a Pittsburgh Steeler and I'm here to play football," or Steeler football for that matter. What were some highlights for you?
Aaron Rodgers. It was the first time I was on here. We talked about how like bad it's been for us, and just having a quarterback who I was like, oh, he's gonna throw to the open guy, and he's
Mhm.
gonna be able to do that. That alone was eye-opening. And his stat line, 22 for 30, 240, four touchdowns. Four passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. DK looked good. That last magical catch he had was pretty crazy.
Mm,
Off
that was
off
funny.
Johnu, off whatever. Calvin looked great. Loved seeing him get involved in the game. Let's see. Jalen Ramsey, fantastic. Welcome to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I'd say young man, but I think he's older than me by like 2 years. So I'm like, is he older?
He
Is he?
might be.
Those get Chris Boswell. Build him a statue right now. Fantastic, 60-yarder that ties his career high.
Mm. I gotta say, I have been trying for years to get his nickname that I gave him to stick, the Wizard of Boz.
The
I
Wizard of
know,
Oz.
I know
Yeah,
it's kind of silly, but I mean, it fits him.
it fits. It with all the stuff that happened with kickers. I think we had two kickers lose their job after week one
Yeah.
already. How lucky are we to have Boswell? Because the dude was waived from three different teams before he got here, and now he's the greatest kicker in Steelers history. He has a legitimate argument for a Hall of Fame resume. He's not going to get in because he's a kicker
Yeah.
and because he was overshadowed by Massage Man number two, Justin Tucker, in the division.
Hmm.
But his resume from the time he got here has been nothing but fantastic. He's just rocketing up. I cannot even think about how many games he has won us alone. And it's funny because if you would have told me before the game, hey, you're going to win this because of Chris Boswell, I'd be like, yeah, no, that makes complete sense. I just wouldn't expect it to be 34-32.
And only
Unsung hero,
yards.
yeah. Unsung hero, Ben Skoranek.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. I'm really curious to hear what bad stuff you saw because we haven't really talked about this. So I want to hear what bad stuff you saw because I'm sure we saw a lot of the same stuff and
Yeah.
what you think moving forward.
The bad stuff would be, well, the O line, uh, and the D line. I mean, they just weren't getting it done. What I was going to say was, I would venture to say if we did not have the quarterback play that we had to basically bail us out in that game, the Jets would have waxed us. But we had the quarterback under center to bail us out of those situations.
Yeah, and Bale he did. I saw a stat, and I don't have it up, so I might be wrong here. I think Russ was 2 for 12 under pressure last week on the Giants. And that is completely on par with what he did for us because if you remember Russ's early career with the Seahawks, he would get into trouble, but he was so agile and
Yeah.
elusive, he could spin out and avoid that. He can't do that anymore, so he tries to do that, and it's bad. Rodgers, he took 4 sacks, and yeah, I thought the line. I can't, I can't understand all 22 of offensive line play. Like I can watch it, and I'm like, well,
I got
Broderick
some
should
stuff for you on that today. So,
fantastic. I can look at it and say, oh, Broderick should have blocked that guy. But I follow a couple guys who are good at that, and they said Broderick was not as bad as the tape or as the game suggested.
mhm.
But he has to be better. So does
Oh, yeah.
Fatanu. But Frazier and McCormick were good. Sam Ollie was all right. The running game was terrible. They completely gave up on in the second half. That is incredibly depressing. I think Caleb Johnson had 3 rushes.
Hmm.
They didn't even stick him out there. The defensive line, Cam Hayward did not play well.
No,
He
I
was
saw him
big.
getting
He was in
pushed
the way.
back.
Yeah, he
Ooh.
he got pushed back. Keanu Benton got pushed wherever the offensive line felt like putting him. But Alex Highsmith showed out. TJ Watt did TJ Watt things. I did think it was interesting, and I'm curious if you noticed this. The running the playback showed that the Jets did not run in TJ's direction hardly ever. They ran to the left almost every single time, unless TJ was over there. Then they ran to the right.
Okay.
But part of TJ's game, like we talked about last week, is his elite ability in the run game. His ability to slide around the tackle and still get a finger or a hand or something on the runner. I noticed on Sunday he wasn't getting that. He was a step too late. Just like he missed it by that much.
Yeah, I haven't watched like the rerun on premium yet, but it seemed like some of the time, unless the opportunity was just like right in his face, he wasn't what you expected out of TJ Watt in the past.
He's getting old, right? And he's
Hmm.
not old, but it happens. But he still made fantastic plays in the passing game, and he still made a lot of great running plays.
Oh yeah.
It was just I noticed he'd be like just that short,
He's
just that short.
he's at that point, and I guess he hit it last season when he started getting double teamed a lot, or just lost some gas down the stretches where they're going to have to start using his smarts and using their smarts on the coaching staff, which I don't know how deep that goes with some of those guys. Uh, to use him as like a chess piece to put him in position to make plays instead of just lining him up and just go get him. They need
Yeah.
to scheme him.
Yeah, and I'm curious because similar stuff happened with JJ, right? His brother is
Mhm.
he was this fantastic 4-3 defensive end who's was so fast, he was so strong. And then as he got a little bit slower, a little bit older, they realized, okay, we kind of got to move him a little bit. We might just need him to be in the middle, right? To kind of spread out our other pass rush guys. And they had, they added guys like Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Merciless, that kind of stuff. And we have that ability. So yeah, we need to use TJ Moore as a chess piece rather than, okay, he's our left edge rusher. That's where he is the entire time. And they did move him a little bit. I
Yeah.
will give credit to that. But talk about disappointing is also defensive coordinator.
Yeah. I just they didn't go imaginative. Well, they are limited somewhat when the Jets are running the ball as well as they are. You can't get, really fancy with your defense if you're constantly facing, second and two and second and three and oh yeah, though there's another first down. So I give them a break on that end, but yeah, there's just not a lot of they're just putting the guys out there, and they mixed it up at the very end of the game. They sent some safeties in, and but yeah, there's not. They need some more of that Dick LeBeau thinking. They need to maybe consult with him and say, hey, what can we do with this defense?
The thing for me is Terrell Austin is fine. The defensive coordinator, he's fine. But when you have the defense that we've had at his, at that we have and that he's had for years now, it's disappointing in that way.
Yeah,
And I think that goes back to Keith Butler. And I think the last really elite defensive coordinator we had was Dick LeBeau, and that was, 2010. So
hmm,
what's disappointing to me is you had a guy who wanted to come work for the Steelers, who was a former head coach, who was a Bill Belichick disciple, obviously a little bit different nowadays, a guy who wanted to work under Mike Tomlin, right?
yeah,
And you let him go to Minnesota, and now he's leading one of the best, most aggressive defenses. And I'm like, we had this guy in house, and we chose to let him walk away and kind of keep yeah, he's all right. And
and
Terrell Austin is a longtime defensive coordinator. Like, I'm not dismissing him.
but Flores is widely considered a defensive mastermind. You don't
Yes.
let that guy leave.
No, and you see what he did last night against, I mean, it was a rough second half for the Bears, but his ability to move these guys around and just confuse the
Yeah,
offense. It doesn't matter what. It's just and the Vikings have a good defense, but they don't have a TJ Watt. They don't have a Cam Hayward. They have guys who are really, really good, but I
yeah.
don't look at anyone on the roster and say future Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer.
Hmm.
And he's doing this with guys who are really, really good, who are Pro Bowl, maybe, an all second team all pro type thing. But we had that guy. We had that guy in house and we let him go. And that to me, that's unfortunate because that would have been so good. And that leads us into kind of what we want to talk about next, which is how did Justin Fields do what he did all over us?
Well, I will say that last year, Tomlin's mantra for him and Russell in training camp was, may the best guy win, but Russell's in pole position. Russell never ended up in pole position when it came to practicing because of that injury. Justin starts the season. He's not lighting things up. He's not going crazy, but basically we're playing a 10-man offense when Pickens is on the field because we got a clown that's, masquerading as a wide receiver. So he's playing one man down and he's still getting the job done. It doesn't look great, but he's moving the team and he's getting a little bit better every week. He's in a new situation and he just continues improving. We're 4-2. And Tom's like, nope, we're putting him on the bench. We're bringing Russell in. And to Russell's credit, Russell lit it up for what, 5 or 6 games? I mean, he looked great. And I was like, well, okay, it shows what I know. But then we tanked. But from what I heard through reading in the media, we tanked after we beat Cincinnati like 44-37, and Russell was audibling out of a lot of plays at the line because since he was playing a 5-man line, so he's like, well, we're going to go the air with this and we're going to win this game like that. Even though we are a running team or we want to be a running team, we're going to have to air it out to win this game. So he aired it out. We put 44 points up on the board and still only won by a touchdown. Apparently after that game, they took his audibling ability away from him. They said, you're not changing plays at the line anymore. What, 12, 13-year veteran quarterback who's won a Super Bowl and a lot of playoff games, they're going to not let him change plays at the line because we want to be a running team. Well, I want to be a running team too, but you've got to be able to air it out when somebody stacks the line. And the case in point, when they finished the season against Cincinnati in Pittsburgh, Cincinnati played that 5-man line again and they beat us. We couldn't run the ball because Russell was not allowed to change the plays at the line. But going back to that, looking at Justin Fields playing Sunday with the Jets, and now he was, that first touchdown he threw, beautiful. He played some really good
Perfect.
football. You can't fault him at all for that loss. I mean, he played great football game. But if he had stayed the starter last year in Pittsburgh, I think he probably wouldn't have been looking for such a big deal. And he probably would have been, it would have been more about the appreciation that they left him the starter when he earned that starting role, in my opinion. And he was just unceremoniously sat down because, well, he's got a little bit more experience than you. The whole decision still confuses me. It doesn't make any sense, but he would probably be our starting quarterback this year if they'd have just left him in, and we would be reaping those fruits of a young guy instead of as well as Aaron played, no knock on him of what he did. He's a band-aid for a season, maybe two.
Yeah, yeah, and that's such a good point. They were competing for pole position, but it kind of felt, and I've read things and I've heard things that when Tomlin signed Russ, he was like, "Hey, man, you're our starter. Like we're bringing you in here, and you're going to start." And I'm not a Kenny Pickett fan. I wasn't a fan of the draft pick. I understand why we drafted him. I get it, whatever. But when if that's true and Kenny caught wind, you just promised the starting job to a guy who, yeah, he's proven himself in the league, but who he is now,
Yeah.
right? And that's when Kenny was like, "I'm out. Trade me. If you're not even going to let me compete, trade me." And they're like, "All right, see ya." And then they pivoted for Justin Fields. I was fine with the Russell Wilson pickup. I was fine with the Justin Fields pickup.
Mm-hmm.
It not both of them didn't make sense. So I'm completely with you. I was under the, I guess, hopeful impression that okay, we just signed a guy who's a former first round pick 3 or 4 years ago, who's a top 10 pick, who is an electric athlete, who needs a little bit of coaching because he had terrible coaching in Chicago to come in and see what he can do for a year or two. Or you get the guy who the team before him is literally eating $170 million to not have him on their roster. And Tomlin said, "Well, I'm going with that guy." And I don't blame Fields for leaving at all. I'm with you completely. I think had we played him through let the wheels ride off, right? If he started sucking week 12, week 13,
Yeah,
that's a little different. You pulled him when we were 4-2, when the team was playing well, the team enjoyed him being on the field, and
yeah,
you put in Russ, and as you said, Russ played well for 5 weeks. And then once teams realize, oh, all we have to do is double Pickens and put a deep safety because Russ just throws the moon ball,
yeah,
they realized that okay, the Steelers have no offense. So I was, and to get back to the Steelers Jets game this year, I was getting so frustrated because I'm sitting there and I'm saying this is exactly what we should have been doing with Fields last year.
yeah,
You're not asking him to throw 40 yards every time. You're asking him to make a few reads, use his legs, get out, evade, and pick up chunks here and there. And that's exactly what he did. I think he finished like 16 for 22 with 200 yards. I mean, that
yeah.
is not impressive. It's that beautiful pass to Garrett Wilson. And
Mhm.
then those two rushing touchdowns. And I'm also annoyed for some reason. I guess we just didn't feel like covering the one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league at the goal line when he just
You
bootlegged.
know,
I was like, what are we doing? So
that first drive, they out-Steelered the Steelers. I mean,
yeah,
they ran the ball just about every play on that drive. I mean,
yeah. And the thing is, the Jets' offensive coordinator this year was with Aaron Glenn, who's their new head coach, when Aaron Glenn was the defensive coordinator in Detroit.
mhm.
And I forget his name, but I think he was like the passing game coordinator. So he
Yeah.
worked under Ben Johnson.
Mhm.
And he comes in and he's like, "Yeah, I got a good system. We're going to run this." And after one game, the Jets lost. And people are like, this guy could be a head coach next year.
Yeah.
When's the last time you heard that about a Steelers offensive coordinator?
I don't think Tomlin's had any
What
assistants go on to become head coaches.
Bruce Arians, technically.
Well, yeah.
And I forget if Ken Wisnut is overlap or if that's Cowers.
Yeah, he's a coward coach.
So like those are the only, those are the only two guys.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, we're 1-0, and that
Yeah.
is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But we've spent the last however long talking about the negatives because I think that's how we feel. It's
Yeah.
like, sure, yeah, everything that could have gone well on offense did. But we're so used to that not happening. We're like, well, what happens when we come back to earth?
Yeah.
You like what happens when Rodgers gets rolled up on because we gave up another bad sack?
When that game was over, I was happy they won it, but it was also a big sigh of relief that the game ended because I still felt like even though we took the lead and there was, a little bit of time left, I was like, if there were more time on the clock, there, I don't know that we would win this game.
And that's why we say we're so grateful for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Like you said, welcome to Pittsburgh,
Unbelievable.
man. What a way to establish yourself. I wonder how many jerseys were bought Sunday at like 4:15,
Yeah.
number 5 jerseys, just because of Jalen Ramsey's hit. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, and he had been playing free safety most of the day, and then Porter's hamstring got tight. He
Yep.
didn't tear anything or strain anything, but it's just cramping first game of the season kind of thing. And they put him on the corner because JP couldn't go.
Yep. Yeah. Jalen Ramsey played every single snap. He did not come off the field for defense, which I thought was fantastic
Wow.
because with Deshaun Elliott's injury, and we signed Jabril Peppers, who I'm I'm
Mhm.
I'm excited about that. I think that's good. Would love for Deshaun to be out there. Only a sprained MCL, and then Joey Porter's hamstring for Ramsey to play as well as he did the entire time. He played, and he's one of those guys. He's like a James Harrison, right? You
Mhm.
hate him if he's not on your team. Like all this dude does is talk trash. All this dude does is complain. But it's like he's on your team, and you're like, the second he started going after Garrett Wilson,
Yeah.
I turned to Sarah and I was like, he's doing this on purpose. Like he is doing this on purpose to get in Garrett Wilson's head. And
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson, well, you could tell he knew where Ramsey was the entire game after that.
Hmm. Well, it's like when Porter got into Jeremy Stevens' head before Super Bowl 40.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
That
it's
was
a mental thing.
classic.
Yeah, it's a mental thing. Like and that's our defensive back, whatever you wanna talk about, whatever position he's gonna be, stick him back there and let him do his thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's got the smarts and the experience. They can just put him all over the place. I got a good buddy of mine. He's a Pats fan, and he's like upset that they let Jabril Peppers go, and he's like, yeah, that's going to be a good sign. He's a great box safety.
He is, and that's you know, I a lot of people were saying we should have signed Jabril even before the Deshaun injury
Hmm.
because then you can use that rotating three safety, which is what we did last year, and then we traded Minka, so it just kind of allows Jalen to float more, and you just rotate your safeties between Peppers, Thornhill, and when he comes back, Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah,
That's solid, but can we need the defense to be better?
yeah,
You can't be Justin Fields had a great quote. He said, "You got multiple future Hall of Famers on that team, and we almost beat them, right? We put up all these yards."
yeah.
And he's exactly right.
Hmm.
He's exactly right.
And speaking of the guys on the opposite side of the DBs, the receivers, I haven't watched the rerun of the game yet, but Roman Wilson, how many play was he on the field much at all? I saw him some, but I don't remember seeing him out there regularly.
Yeah, I think he had 6 snaps. I think that was the final snap count, and only one or two was a passing play, and one of those was a screen. So I have no idea. I mean, we talked about our breakout player, and we watched him in preseason. And he looked so good. I don't, but that's what Tomlin does. He gets these guys, and they just end up in the doghouse, and that's where they are, and like they just don't work their way out of. I mean, look, if Calvin's going to play like that every game, cool, that's fine. We
Yeah.
don't Roman Wilson, whatever. Thanks, appreciate you, but it's not going to happen, right? Like we realistically we need more people to step
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. We need at least one more receiver to be out there
Yeah,
as a consistent threat. And
yep,
speaking of that, there's more trade rumors floating around out there. There's talk about some move for Tyreek Hill again. That came up, I don't know, a month ago, and it just keeps bubbling. It's just like, have you heard anything?
I I haven't heard anything. Not that I'm super plugged in. I just look at Twitter occasionally, right? Uh, but I don't think there's enough smoke for there to be fire.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to say this after week one. I would hope that Tomlin has said, I've had enough of this immaturity in my locker room. I don't want to add a toxic individual to this
Yeah. That's what
because
I've heard. He's not a decent human at
he's
all.
he's a terrible teammate. I'm going to go on record and say he's a terrible person.
Hmm.
Just his legal history is insane. And you take away who he is off the field, he's not the same player as he was 2 years ago on the field.
Yeah.
So adding Hill to me, we talked about in the first episode. I don't think we're going all in. To me, adding Hill would be going all in because you're going to risk imploding your locker room.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I didn't want them to go down that road, but I just keep hearing, they're trying to
Yeah,
make some moves and this and that. The Lazard from the Jets, apparently,
yeah,
I don't even think he played Sunday, and
no,
nobody knows why he wasn't even on the field. And there's talk about maybe making a move for him just because Rodgers has such a rapport with him because he was
yeah,
with him in Green Bay,
right,
he was with him in New York, and
yeah. I think the only again the I'm just it's blind hope that we won't trade for anyone on the offensive side of the ball. And I was
Mhm.
listening to J.J. Watt talk about the Micah Parsons trade, what to Green Bay, and he said, "Look, as a defender, it's easy to adjust to a new system because oftentimes your job is see ball, get ball."
Yeah,
Right. And the guys around you who are in the system can say, hey, man, stand up, stand here. Like, we're going to help you until you get up to speed. Micah Parsons is a top three, top two defensive player in the NFL. Hey, man, go get the ball. You're fine. On
Mhm.
offense, that it takes a
A lot more
lot
going
longer to get
on.
up to speed. I mean, we traded for um, Mike, the wide receiver last year from the Jets. I'm
Oh,
blanking
Mike
on his name.
Williams.
Mike Williams. We traded
Mhm.
for Mike Williams, and we didn't even. He got like 3 snaps in 5 games. One of them was a great touchdown, but
Yeah.
because it takes too long to get up to speed. And my thinking is, if we're going to add someone, we should have done it a month ago.
Oh, yeah. I
It
agree.
doesn't. It doesn't make you have your guys now. It doesn't make sense to do it
Yeah.
now. If there's going to be a guy that you're going to get who's going to be at a discount, and you can then keep him. A guy like I would just throw out the name Jacoby Myers, the Vegas receiver.
Hmm.
To me, he is young enough where he'd be a part of the plan long term.
Yeah, I've heard his name floated a
Yeah,
time or
he officially requested a trade, but they won on Sunday, so he might, pull that back. He just wants to get paid. Like, and obviously it's not my money. Pay him, I don't care.
two.
But I just if you're gonna trade for a guy, my opinion, at this point in the Steelers season, whatever, however we are, it needs to be a guy who you plan on him being here in 3 years.
And speaking of paying him, Hayward getting his deal on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a thought about that.
Yeah, hit me with it.
I didn't appreciate him asking for more. I feel like if when he renegotiated his deal a year ago, if he said, "Hey, look, if I come out of the first year and play really well, I want to come back to the table. I want something written in this contract. I'm not going to make some offhanded comment and then everybody just kind of snicker and say, well, I was serious and they weren't. I'm going to take my ball and go home kind of thing."
Yeah. Yeah.
So they give him this new renegotiated deal of $3 million, but what is it tied to? It's tied to playoff wins and playoff appearances or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's saying, well, if you get any more money, you're going to have to be a team player because you haven't been one all summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was just almost like a backhanded slap yeah, there's 3 million out there for you to be made, but it's not tied to your individual production. It's tied to what this team does.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was blasphemous for him to try to do what he did. I really do think like that he has worked hard to build his reputation around the league and with this organization. And I think a lot of Steeler fans, until up about a month or so ago, were like, Cam's one of my favorite players of all time. This
Oh,
dude
yeah.
embodied being a Pittsburgh Steeler. He worked his way up. He was a first round draft pick, worked his way
Mhm.
into the starting lineup, and now is a potential Hall of Famer. He embodies. And then for him to pull this, I think that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I
Oh, yeah.
just bought his jersey. Like I bought that new throwback jersey. I was
Oh,
like, oh,
yeah.
I don't have a Cam Hayward. I have a TJ Watt. I'm not buying, whatever. I'm gonna give it Cam Hayward. I take the contract as I'm like, I wish I could like mime this like, come here, Cam. Like, okay, we're gonna give you $3 million. That way you can save face and you can say, I got my raise, woohoo. And we can save you the embarrassment of you holding out because you're not getting more money.
Yeah.
Like that's how I took that because the Steelers could have been like, dude, okay, fine, you're released. Go get a 1 year deal for $15 million somewhere.
Yeah,
And then you're done.
I got to worry about my family, dude. You
Yeah.
make 14 million a season. Talking about worrying about your family.
He has $144 million career earning. Like, what are you complaining? And his brother's in the NFL, and his dad was in the NFL.
Learn how to invest.
Yeah. Cam is such a smart guy. I've read that he likely has a career in media when he's done. He's
Oh,
just
yeah.
very well spoken.
Mhm.
He can do that. So it's always just so funny for him to pull out that. Well, I'm just thinking of my family, and I get it. Dude, if there was no salary cap, I'd say pay them all.
Yeah.
There's also your word,
Hmm.
and if he's upset because he said to the Steelers, "Well, if I do better, you got to pay me next year," and they laugh at that. Okay, if you want that to be the case, then it needs to be a precedent where if you perform poorly, they can take money away.
Oh, yeah.
Because how many contract holdouts, and you have a more extensive history than me in terms of going back to the 90s and whatnot. How many successful contract holdouts can you think of with the Steelers?
None. Steelers win every one of those.
It doesn't work. And you just set yourself up for embarrassment. It's like, okay, go back to the huddle with your tail between your legs, and
Hmm.
then get embarrassed in week one. He'll bounce back. It'll be fine. It'll pass. But it's kind of like you can't have your cake and eat it too. I truthfully think it's the Steelers should be like, all right, Cam, here you go, man.
Yeah. That's what I was like. I heard a lot of griping. I was like, he got a new deal, and people were just raising it online.
Yeah,
And then the next day, I saw a report is tied to playoff wins and appearances or something like that. I was like, it doesn't have anything to do with his individual production.
no,
So, yeah, I mean, I hope they make the playoffs this year and you'll
yeah,
get some cheddar then. But I mean,
yeah.
you know,
That should be in everyone's contract. Like, we're gonna pay you this, but if you win a playoff game, you're gonna, get like a
Yeah,
multiplier or whatever.
exactly.
Maybe incentivize. Not that I think, excuse me, not that I don't think they're trying. I definitely think that
Mhm.
they're trying, and they all, those guys are desperate for a playoff win, probably more so than we are as fans because they know it's their legacy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they got to wake up and look in the mirror and, think about those losses and those missed opportunities
Right.
every day. So,
And they got to go home to their mansions with their $1 million and cry.
yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
real quick, I want to. So obviously we won, and I'm wearing my Angry Run shirt. We got Jalen, and then One-Eyed Najee down here. But I want to turn the page. We have Seattle this week, right?
Yeah.
Home game. Last week was the Aaron Rodgers revenge game. This is the DK Metcalf revenge. DK doesn't feel that way about Seattle, but
Yeah.
how are you feeling? Do we have a score prediction, perhaps? And
I haven't looked at Seattle too much, so
okay,
I can't really offer an opinion yet, but
yeah.
I need to look at it and maybe we can throw something up online here before the weekend comes around.
Well, their head coach was the former Ravens defensive coordinator, so it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot like that. Sam Darnold's
Okay.
their quarterback. They lost against San Francisco on like a last minute play on Sunday.
How
San
did
Francisco,
Darnold look?
he looked okay. I mean, he looked like I would say standard Sam Darnold.
Okay.
He wasn't like, oh my gosh, but he made a couple, Sam, what are you doing? He lost the game because there was like a couple, I don't know, 30 seconds left. I don't know exactly, but
Mhm.
he went to throw the ball and he hit his hand on his own tackle behind him.
Oh,
And as he went to push the ball came out. So it was a sack fumble and 49ers recovered.
oh,
Yeah. So he looked fine. Their run game looked really good.
okay.
Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker both played very, very well. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, had like 140 yards, their wide receiver. So it'll be interesting to see who we put on him because he's a smaller, kind of a slot guy. So I wonder if Jalen will follow, kind of because Jalen's playing that slot role for us.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's a home opener.
Yep. No doubt about that. One thing I noticed about Darnold's game, and I don't know if it was the Minnesota offensive design, was the Rams got them in the playoffs last year, right? And they knocked them out. Pretty sure it was the Rams.
That sounds right.
But they took the deep ball away and forced him to throw short, and that's not his game. It's getting it down the field.
Yeah, he's an athlete.
Maybe that was Minnesota's game, but I don't know if that carries over to Seattle or not.
Yeah, I think the difference, and again, we saw last night, Kevin O'Connell was such a good coach. He's such a good coach, and his ability to craft up plays for whoever he has behind center is fantastic. So we'll see. We'll see. We we should win. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah,
But we're Steeler fans, and it's like we just almost lost the Jets in week one on an offensive shootout in what was the game of the year until Sunday night.
yeah, which was insane.
That was a great game. Man, imagine if we had Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson.
Woo. Mm,
Oh, how
maybe one
fun it would
day.
be. How fun. Maybe one day.
Yep, we'll pick one of them up when they're in year 15.